Welcome to this explainer. Today we're diving into the absolute ultimate division of labor. We're going to break down exactly how single cells organize to create the incredible biological machinery running inside both plants and animals. We're looking at nature's true engineering marvels here, figuring out how life manages to build everything from a towering oak tree right down to a sprinting cheetah.
So, here's our roadmap for today. First, we'll cover the power of tissues, then move into plant tissues and their growth structure. After that, we'll hit the 4 animal tissues, look at connecting and moving, and finally wrap up with the whole musculoskeletal system.
All right, Section 1, the power of tissues. Let's get right into it.
So, life begins with just a single dividing cell. But here's the really fascinating part. To actually pull off complex life processes efficiently, those billions of resulting cells face a massive, literal engineering problem. How do they handle all that work? Think about it. If every single cell had to do every single job, like digestion, movement, sensing the environment, the organism would just be a terribly inefficient mess. They desperately need a system.
And that brings us to the crucial point. A tissue is, essentially, a specialized team of workers, kind of like a super well-run factory. Cells that share a similar structure group together to perform one specific function. This division of labor absolutely skyrockets the body's overall efficiency. Instead of having billions of jacks of all trades, you've got master specialists. And honestly, that's exactly what enables complex multicellular organisms to survive and thrive. Moving right along to Section 2, plant tissues, growth, and structure.
Now, how do plants tackle this division of labor compared to us? Well, keep in mind, plants are literally anchored to the ground. They have to stay in one place, endure whatever weather comes their way, and just keep growing their entire lives. Have you ever actually wondered why grass keeps growing back no matter how often you mow it? Or why trimming a garden hedge actually makes it bushier? It feels completely counterintuitive, right? You chop off the growing tip, and yet the plant is like, no problem, and pushes out brand new growth.
The secret here lies in the specialized, actively dividing tissue called intercalary meristems, which sit right at the nodes of the plant's stems. So even if the top gets completely lopped off by your lawnmower, these meristems down at the base just rapidly divide and regenerate the plant. It's this brilliant built-in survival mechanism that's totally designed for continuous renewal.
In fact, these actively dividing meristematic teams, they handle all plant growth. You've got your apical meristems at the very tips of roots and shoots, pushing the plant up and down. Then you've got lateral meristems wrapping around the circumference, widening the trunk, and creating those classic tree rings. And of course, the intercalary meristems we just talked about for regrowing lost parts. Now, thanks to all this continuous cell division, new cells are constantly added. Eventually, though, these cells differentiate. That means they take on a permanent, specific role, like support or protection, and they actually lose their ability to divide. Let's look at how this builds into the plant's permanent plumbing system. Plants have these complex permanent tissues designed strictly for transport. The xylem acts like a massive set of water pipes. It pulls water and minerals all the way up from the roots using these thick-walled, mostly dead tubular cells. Meanwhile, the phloem works in reverse. It distributes the food made up in the leaves down to the rest of the plant, but it uses living cells with these perforated sieve tubes. They work together flawlessly to keep the whole thing nourished and hydrated.
All right, Section 3, the 4 animal tissues.
So, leaving those stationary plants behind, let's jump into the highly active animal world. Our engineering needs are vastly different because, well, our tissues are built for moving around, sensing our environment, and firing off rapid, coordinated responses. Unlike plants, which have this huge variety of structural and dividing tissues just based on sitting still, animal architecture relies heavily on just 4 main types of specialized tissue teams. We've got epithelial for lining and protection, connective for support, muscular for movement, and nervous tissue for lightning-fast control.
Take a look at epithelial tissue, for example. Notice how perfectly the physical structure of these cells matches their specific job? Look at the lungs. For gas exchange, you need a single layer of incredibly thin, flat cells so oxygen can slip right through. But for protection, like on your skin, you need many tightly packed layers acting as a heavy-duty barrier against friction and microbes. Form literally follows function here.
Which brings us to Section 4, connecting and moving.
Okay, but how does our body actually hold all these different linings and organs together? And more importantly, how do we trigger action? Enter connective tissues. They are the body's scaffolding. Let's do a quick physical check right now. Tap your elbow. That hard, rigid structure giving you support? That's bone. Now gently fold the top of your ear. That soft, flexible material springing right back into place? Cartilage. Wiggle your fingers and feel your forearm.
You are literally feeling tendons transferring the pull of muscle right to your bones. Connective tissues are what hold the whole shebang together and make mechanics possible.
And to actually move that scaffolding around, we deploy our muscular tissue. You've got voluntary skeletal muscles. Those are the ones you consciously flex when you're running or riding. But you also have smooth muscles working completely involuntarily. Like right now, they are digesting your food in your stomach without a single conscious thought from you. And of course, there's the incredible cardiac muscle in your heart, engineered with these branched fibers to just beat continuously, rhythmically for your entire life without ever getting tired. It's wild.
But muscles, no matter how strong or specialized they are, don't just act on their own. They need a command center. Think about the last time you accidentally touched a hot stove. You didn't pause and consciously think, I should probably move my hand. No, you just reacted instantly. And doing that requires a mind-blowing speed of communication.
That instant reflex is controlled entirely by nervous tissue. The core unit here is the neuron, which is specially designed to receive, process, and transmit messages. It grabs signals through these branch-like dendrites, processes the info in the cell body, and then shoots a rapid electrical impulse down a long fiber called an axon to trigger your muscles to pull away. It's an incredibly sophisticated, high-speed biological wiring system.
Finally, let's hit Section 5, the musculoskeletal system. So let's see how all these specialized animal tissues, the rigid bone, the contracting muscle, the binding connective tissues, and that high-speed wiring of the nervous system, how they all combine into one master setup. But before we look at how it moves, get this. Have you ever wondered how much of your total body weight comes from just your bones alone? On average, the adult human skeleton makes up roughly 12 to 15% of your body weight. For real, it is a remarkably lightweight, yet incredibly strong framework.
But here's the catch. Bones can't move on their own, and muscles can only pull, they can't push. Because of that, our range of motion is entirely dictated by the brilliant engineering of our joints. A ball and socket joint in your shoulder lets you swing your arm in a full circle, but the hinge joint in your knee, it restricts movement to essentially one plane to give you stability for walking. The actual physical shapes of the bones themselves dictate the mechanics of the organism.
And this interconnected engineering is exactly why physical practices like yoga, or honestly even just maintaining correct posture, are so absolutely vital. When you stretch and hold those poses, you are actively maintaining the flexibility of your cartilage, keeping your tendons strong, and making sure this intricate system of interconnected tissues doesn't stiffen up. You are literally performing routine maintenance on your own biological machinery.
As we wrap up this explainer on nature's division of labor, I want to leave you with a fascinating, kind of provocative thought. We know plant tissues can regenerate entire new plants from just a single cutting, right? Well, researchers are currently trying to deeply understand and replicate those exact natural processes for human welfare. Will it someday be possible to grow a complete animal from a single animal cell, just like we do with plants? What would the advantages, or even the consequences of such a massive biological leap be? It's a profound question, and it really shows just how much we still have to learn from the tissues in action all around us.